And again, lowering just a couple of centimeters and picking it up again. So even though that leg is lowering, we're not dropping it down to the floor. Good. As the leg is moving, try to reach it to that wall, that opposite wall, so that you're really keeping that leg long. Again, as your leg starts to get tired, it's really tempting to start bending the knee, but you want to just think really long, reaching through that toe, and also out through the crown of your head, so the whole body is staying long. Good. Let's go last one, and we're going to keep it lifted. We do little pulses up. So it's going up and up and up. Good. And keep thinking long through the leg. And we're going to go for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and you hold. From there, we circle the leg around for 1 and 2. Good, making it sharp. And 3, you hold. And 4. You go for 4 and 3. Good, and 2. Last one, and you reverse. Other direction, around and up for 1 and 2. Good. So as that leg is circling, keep drawing the abdominals in, using that breath, and just check in to make sure that head is really released. Because as the body is working and we start to get tired, we don't want to tense other things that we don't need. Good. How's that going, Elle? Have we done 8? Good. Yeah. And you're going to keep that leg lifted. You're going to lift it a little higher and a little higher. Good. One more big breath. And exhale, we go ultimate height. Great, and releasing the leg back down. Well done. From here, let's just roll over onto your back. You're going to cross your right ankle over your left thigh. Good. Reaching between your legs, taking hold of the shin and drawing that leg into you. If your shin isn't available, you can also hold onto the back of your leg, so holding onto your hamstring. With your elbow, you want to try and press that bent, the leg that's crossed over, you want to try and press that knee out to the side. And this is really nice to do after those exercises because you get a good stretch through the glutes and through the hip there. Good, and then from there, let's just swap to the other side. Doing these stretches, I find it's quite nice to just do a little rock from side to side because you tend to find places that are a little bit more tight than others. It changes the stretch just a little bit. Good. And then just releasing that leg back down again. Good. Can we have a break? What do we have? Okay, so coming out of that stretch, I'm just going to get you to come back to a seated position with the legs extended out long in front of you. Good, and you'll just need to move yourself down a little bit on your mat to make sure that you've got enough room behind you to lay your head back down onto the mat again. Now, you'll start with your knees bent and your feet flexed. Arms are going to be stretched out in front of you. And you want to make the shape of a capital C with your spine. So you're scooping the abdominals in, rounding the back and reaching your arms forwards with your head in between your arms. From there, Elle's going to start rolling back one vertebra at a time. So she's going to inhale to roll back and exhaling as you continue the rest of the movement. Good. Arms reaching back behind. And from there, you're going to start curling the head. Arms stay either side of your ears, and you exhale up and forwards. Good. And let's just do that one more time. So scooping the abdominals, rolling it back, trying to move those arms with the head. A modification would be just to leave the arms forwards. So we might do that now. Bringing the arms forwards first. Good. And that's going to help you roll up again. Continue with that if that feels okay. Otherwise, a modification would be just to bend the knees and have your feet flat on the floor. Good, so bend them a little bit more. There you are. Okay, arms are still reaching long, the abdominals are still scooping back away from the thighs, and you have your spine curled here. Now, the modification would be that you just roll back to where you feel that challenge point. So if you feel your abdominals start to shake, or if you feel that you can't go any further without falling, then you've gone enough. And then you're going to exhale and bring it back up again. Good. And again, rolling it back. So it's really important to keep that curl. We're not trying to find a straight back here. We want to keep the spine curling and the abdominals scooping the whole time. Good. And at the end of the day, it doesn't actually matter how far you go as long as you're working in the correct way. So it might just be that you're going back a couple of centimeters or that you're going all the way down onto the floor. Another little cheat, because you're at home, would be to hook your toes underneath something like a couch. That's going to help you have a little bit of extra leverage and help to really plant the feet down onto the floor. Good, and exhaling it back up. So we might just go into the original version again. So we'll go back to straight legs. Good. Keeping the arms either side of the ears and scooping from the lower abdominals to initiate that movement as you control that roll down onto the floor. Good. And then the ultimate version, keeping the arms either side of the ears, exhaling through the tricky part to bring yourself back up again. We'll do it last time. Good. So starting from the lower abdominals, you're rolling it back. Good. Everyone tends to get quite bunchy through their shoulders when they do this, so trying to keep those shoulders down away from the ears. Good, well done. Okay, great. So from there, let's flip over onto your stomach. And we're going to start with your hands underneath your armpits and your forehead down on the floor. Good. We want to keep the legs together for this exercise, but if you feel that you get a little bit sore in the lower back, it's fine to go a little bit wider with the legs. You're going to draw your shoulders back. Curl the pelvis underneath you to help lift up the abdominals. Good. And then from there, you're going to come into a spinal extension. So you're going to press your arms down, good, dropping the shoulders down away from the ears. And what we're trying to do, rather than come up really high, you're trying to pull the chest forwards. Good. So that we bend through the upper thoracic spine, and then from there, releasing it back down. Great. So let's go again. Hands are going to stay where they are, but there's a sense of pulling the hands back to send that chest through. Keeps drawing in your abdominals and exhaling and releasing it down. Good. We're going to change the breath slightly. So coming up, as you just did, you're going to stay for an exhale, releasing the shoulders down. Taking another inhale, you pull that chest forwards and exhale, releasing it down. Great. Let's just go one more time. You press through the hands. Good. Trying to keep those legs together if you can. Good. Gentle through the neck, so find more thoracic rather than crunching through the neck there. Good. And releasing it back down. Great. From there, let's make a diamond with your hands, and you're going to place your forehead on top of that diamond. Great. Again, still drawing in the abdominals to protect the lower back, and shoulders drawing back away from the floor. You're going to find your external rotation through the legs, so bringing your heels together and toes apart. Great. And from there, you're going to start extending those legs really long and floating the legs up off the mat. Now you're trying to reach your hamstrings up to the ceiling as much as you can without letting the knees bend, so you want to keep sending the feet away from you. Again, just check in to make sure that your stomach is pulling in away from the floor. From there, you're going to start clapping the heels together, and this is a really fast movement. So we're getting your adductors to draw the legs together as quickly as you can. That's it. And as you're clapping the heels together, keep floating those legs up away from the floor. Great. Taking another breath in, exhaling, releasing the shoulders. We keep clapping those legs together nice and fast, and we're going to take one more breath there and releasing the legs back down again. Well done. Let's do that again. So setting up the body, floating the legs, good, and clapping the legs together. So aim to go a little bit wider and then a little faster, so your inside thighs have to work a bit harder. Good. Keeping those legs clapping, legs floating nice and high. Doing a great job. Let's take one more breath there. And exhale a little higher. Good, and you're going to release it back down. If your back's feeling a little bit sore from that, just bring yourself into a child's pose, and actually we might do that now. So let's press your hands. You're going to sit back on your heels. You can reach your arms long in front of you or either side of your body, whatever feels comfortable. But this is a really nice restorative pose to give your back a little bit of a break. and to have a little bit of a breather. And then from there, we're going to come back onto your stomach again. Okay. We're going to stack the hands, and again, you're just going to have your forehead resting on the hands. Let's bring the legs together, unless of course you've got some back issues, lower back issues, and in that case, go a little bit wider with the legs. So again, we want to tuck the pelvis under and pull the stomach in away from the floor. We're going to have the left hand be the bottom hand, so you're fine where you are. Okay. Keep pressing your left hand into the mat, and you're going to float the upper body off the mat, keeping your hand connected to your forehead. Good. And we're aiming to go really wide with that elbow. So picking it up, let's stay for a moment. Good. So coming up, you're going to stay for an inhale, and an exhale, we pick it up a little higher. Good. And then we slowly float the body down again. So keeping that hand on the mat is an option. Let's just do that again. Good. And bringing it down. Otherwise, you can keep both hands connected, and you're going to float both hands up off the floor, keeping them connected to your head, taking a breath there and releasing it back down. Good. And every time you do that, make sure that you're recruiting the abdominals, because that is what's it's really important to keep the lower back from getting super crunchy. Let's just go twice more. Good, and lowering it down. And last one. As the upper body's floating, we're also keeping the legs down for this exercise. Good, and we come back down, and you're going to do a little swap with your hands. So other hand is going to go underneath. If you would like, you're going to start with the right hand pressing into the floor to help you find that height. Good, and exhaling it down. Otherwise, if you didn't want to use the modification, you're welcome to go straight into both arms pressing. Good. And lowering. I think it's quite nice just to keep that hand on the mat to start with. Good. And exhaling down, and we're just going to do last one to float the upper body. Good. Keeping the back of the neck long and releasing it down again. Well done. From there, you're going to float the upper body. So both hands are going to come up. You're going to reach those arms out into a Superman position, so kind of like a narrow V. They come back to your head, and you're going to release it down. Good. If that's not feeling good, you can go back to the original version where you keep one hand on the mat. And again, we float both hands up, the upper body lifts. We reach the arms out, they come back to the head, and we lower the whole thing down. And let's go a couple more times. Good. And back and lower. Again, just keep letting those shoulders drop away from the ears. Good. And then when you're there, could we lift up a little higher? Beautiful. And they come back to the head and lower. One more time. Good. And we're going to stay. From there, floating those legs nice and high as well. Upper body stays high. You're going to go into your swimming. So the arms and the legs are paddling or kicking. Good. And you can let the upper thighs kind of hit the mat as you go. And you want to really swim quite ferociously. You're trying to get away from the shark. That's it. Get away from the shark. Great. And as your arms and legs are kicking, still thinking about your breathing. Good. For every exhale, lifting a little higher from both ends. And we're going to go for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We lift up high and lowering it down again. Good. Just take a moment to let your head rest, let your body rest. And we're just going to do the swimming one more time. So reaching those arms long, reaching the legs long. Good. You can bring those legs a little closer together. So your inside thighs are swishing past each other. Good. And we swim. And you really swim. You want to win that race. Good. And you're only going to go for 5 and 4. Last 3. Kicking a little faster, and 2. And last 1. And resting down. Good. Let's press back onto your heels so you come into a child's pose. So you can go wide with your